Manitoba has passed a bill to recognize March 31st as Two-Spirit and Transgender Day of Visibility. Now, the bill was put forward by NDP MLA Logan Oxenham, who is transgender. The bill was voted on yesterday. It was backed by most MLAs, except by 4 members of the opposition Progressive Conservatives. MLAs Conrad North, Ron Schuler, Josh Ginter, and Calvin Gertson all voted against it. Gertson declined an interview with CBC, but said in a statement that, quote, the NDP bill contains language that expresses support for youth, often defined as young as 12 or 13, to have sex-affirming procedures without any stated limitation to age or parental knowledge. Now, this is Tory MLA Conrad North speaking to reporters about why he did not support the bill.
I'm not against the LGBT community. I'm inclusive of all Manitobans, and that isn't the reason why I stood up to vote. It's a division that I felt that the NDP was trying to create by a recorded vote. Subclause 8, I have some issue with. Constituents that I represent have some issue with youth and the terminology of youth being able to make the decisions on altering their identity. And it was a hard decision to make, but I'm very disappointed with the division that the NDP government has tried to make out of this. I have never hated a person in my life. I'm inclusive of all those that are part of that community. There would never have been seen any evidence of me showing hate towards anybody. But what I saw during question period today was absolute hate from the other side of the floor.
Now, you mentioned Clause 8, and on my reading of it, and tell me if I'm wrong, there's nothing in there about, surgery or alterations or something. It's recognizing youth.
Yeah,
your concern is that it would be seen as supporting surgery?
Yeah, and it leads to that, right? So Two-Spirit, transgender, and non-binary youth have agency over their lives. So agency, in my interpretation, is the right, and youth could be children as young as 13 years old, 13 till the age of being adult. And that's concerning to me, and I don't think that it's right that we put it into a bill which is just a day of recognition.
So that's Conrad North, the Tory MLA for La Vérendrye, speaking to reporters yesterday. Live in studio this morning, NDP MLA Logan Oxenham, who put the bill forward. Good morning.
Good morning, Leslie.
So why don't we start with the response to what you've just been listening to and what we just heard, and the concerns, and also the concerns not just from this Tory MLA. There were 4 that voted against this, but he's saying he's representing some people that have their own concerns about this. Should they be worried about the language in the bill in the way that you just heard it framed?
Honestly, Marcy, that's the first time I've heard the MLA North giving his commentary, so I'm kind of taken aback by many of the things that he said. Particularly, this bill recognizes trans youth as having agency, and it recognizes them knowing themselves enough to be able to vocalize and verbalize who they are. And what we're trying to do as a government here, and I think what we've been successful with, is creating space for gender diverse Two-Spirit folks to feel safe and to come out if they want to come out, but making it very clear that our government stands unanimously with the 2S LGBTQ community.
I think you referred to it as Clause 8, if I'm correct. What would you say to those who support the LGBTQ plus community, but they have concerns about the rights of parents when it comes to changing pronouns or gender-affirming surgery, and they may be wondering if this bill could have been written without Clause 8?
I think this bill couldn't be written without Clause 8. I think we need to be on the side of our youth, especially our trans youth. And as parents, personally, I'm a parent. I have an 8-year-old little girl at home. And my job is to create the space that is safe enough for her to share everything about her with me. And I want to be very mindful and conscious of creating that space. And I think that's what all parents ultimately want, is to know their child. But I think, too, that it's our responsibility to create that space for them to feel safe.
Staying with the politics for a moment here, there was also some push that this, the language was that this was divisive on the part of your party to have it be a recorded vote. What's your response to that? Why was it a recorded vote? And maybe why did you feel it was important it should be a recorded vote?
Look, I feel like this is the same old party that we saw last summer that really took a shot at the 2S LGBTQ community. In particular, they set their sights on trans youth. So, I think that folks, have the right to vote. I think that showing, it's important for me to see folks for who they are, and they showed us who they were yesterday.
You're the first openly transgender person elected as a Manitoba MLA. I know you said before that you said this morning that you want to be an advocate for youth. Why is it important to you to have a designated day like this that recognizes transgender youth in Manitoba, and how did it feel to see it pass?
I think it's important to see a bill like this recognizing folks in Manitoba, particularly youth, because youth have been really under attack for a long time. The trans community has been under attack by politicians mostly, and so I'm really proud to be part of a team. I think a diverse team that's truly a reflection of the province that we serve. And so putting a bill forward and having it pass like this, I think it's really meaningful towards the community because it really affirms their existence. It affirms, the right to have agency over yourself and to, choose to live your life, and not just to acknowledge, but also to lift up and celebrate the Two-Spirit and trans community. And, folks who pay attention to the news might see that, the trans community has been under attack, but this bill, I believe, provides us an opportunity to really lift up, amplify, and celebrate the Two-Spirit and trans community.
What do we understand about other provinces when it comes to having days like this to recognize the transgender community? Like, how do we compare with other jurisdictions?
I believe we're the leaders in the pack. In terms of recognition and acknowledging Two-Spirit and transgender people. I know that there's a long way to go across the country, and I'm hoping that by passing this bill that we could be a beacon to others. I know that I speak with trans folks here in Manitoba, rural Manitoba, but I also have folks from across the country reaching out to me and just saying that although their situations in their province is really dire, they feel some hope by looking at Manitoba. They feel hope by seeing what we're accomplishing here in terms of rights for marginalized people. And I think to be a glimmer of hope in a time like this, I think means a lot to people, and I'm really proud to share that with folks. What
would having a day like this have meant to you as a young person?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I think it would have given me the words to explain to everyone around me who I was. It would have given me the courage, I think, to name what it is. And if that space would have been created for me as a youth, I guess I could try and imagine what my life would look like today. But yeah, I think I would be proud as a youth.
What's it like for you to be a representative in the legislature? And I mean, there's this conversation going on about parental rights. It continues, and transgender kids. There's protests on both sides. What do you hear from young people in the LGBTQ plus community about education and awareness in schools? And then you're obviously also trying to balance. I mean, some parents out there that parents are always concerned about their kids. They're worried about their kids talking to them. They're worried about their kids sharing with them. They do become worried about all kinds of things, especially at those ages and those teenage ages where all of us should be standing up and finding our identities and owning ourselves. But parents are worried that they're not going to be involved in the conversations. How difficult is it for you to walk through these conversations and try to keep everything inclusive?
Well, it's definitely a challenge, Marcy, because, I am trans and I'm also a parent. So, I do empathize with parents out there who, as parents, we love our children and we want what's best for them. And I know it's hard in a world that is showing folks that, trans people exist. And yet there are folks out there who are trying to say that we shouldn't exist, and I think balancing that with, making sure that children and kids know that they have an ally is tricky. But I take it, it's a huge privilege to be in this position. And I just really hope to have conversations and talk to parents on any side of this debate and try to, engage in a meaningful conversation where we, folks can walk away more informed. And hopefully that, just sets the stage for them to create that space at home where their children feel safe to come out.
Thank you very much for being with us this morning. Happy Pride. And this weekend, I know all kinds of different events going on. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
That is the NDP MLA live with us in studio, Logan Oxenham, who is behind a bill that did pass yesterday. So it will be recognized March 31st in Manitoba will now be Two-Spirit and Transgender Day of Visibility.